Right, so this is your ALO2 section, so you need to be doing a big title of cardiovascular training, and then these are your 3 subtitles: continuous training, interval training, and fartlek training. Throughout these sections, you need to be getting into the habit of referencing the components of fitness that we've just done above this part here. So for example, in continuous training, I'm going to be referencing cardiovascular training. Right, so continuous training, this is a steady state exercise. This means that you're getting no rest and you're working for over 20 minutes in that steady state of exercise. It's a cardiovascular endurance and it's an aerobic activity, which means with oxygen. Now, in the book here, it talks quite nicely here about the can you calculate your aerobic training zones. That's where you find your level based on your heart rate, and then that is your aerobic training zone that you're working at for 20 minutes. So if we're kind of kicking into that mark band 3 area there, I would go into that book. It also does the advantages and disadvantages quite nicely as well, which you may want to reference too. So it's an aerobic exercise with oxygen, and the more you do it, your body becomes more efficient at using that oxygen, which means you get less fatigue, you have more stamina, it gives you an edge on your opponent. So this is for running, jogging, rowing, swimming, athletes like Mo Farah and Chris Froome, obviously. Right, so next one we're doing is interval training. Just going to pull that a bit closer. So interval training, this is training with periods of rest. So it's basically you work really hard and then you have a rest period. High intensity interval training has become like a bit of an new thing within the fitness industry. It's very popular. There's a program, in fact I used to do it, Insanity. I've got it on my PlayStation at home by someone called Sean T, possibly worth looking into. And again, there's some nice advantages and disadvantages in this book here. If we go through high intensity interval training, so advantages are it burns body fat and calories quickly, it can be altered easily to suit the individual and hit them specificity of the sport. So interval training for a rugby player and a netball player will look different, so you can take that into account with this. It can be completed relatively quickly, yeah, that's a positive as well. Only 25, T25 was one that Sean T did as well, where it just takes 25 minutes to do his exercises. It can be anaerobic and aerobic, I'll talk about that in a second. Extreme work can lead to injury. High levels of motivation are needed to complete the work. It is knackering, and it can lead to dizziness and a feeling of nausea. Yes, it can, it is knackering. So just to keep going with this, so short bursts of energy and then you get a short rest. In how much rest you get and how long the exercise is for is based on the intensity of the exercise. So I would mention that in terms of your health and safety there. So it's obviously an anaerobic exercise because you're kind of sprinting and then you're resting, but it also supports the aerobic system, as it mentions in the book there. So this is good for footballers, basketballers, boxers, team sports sort of things, and it's great in terms of being able to make it relevant, as I was talking about a second ago. Right, last one, fartlek training. Okay, so we spoke about this quite a lot because we all really like the name and chuckle at it every time. So cardiovascular endurance is the component of fitness that this is really good for. It's a more varied form of training in terms of the speed and intensity change. It's often called speed play. And we spoke about them people you might see going between lampposts, joggers on the street. They walk one, jog one, sprint one. So that's your example. The example I've given here: sprint, jog, walk. Generally as well for fartlek training, it is on different terrains. We spoke about the positives of athletes training on sand being better for their joints and things like that. Possibly on flats, uphill and downhill. Some of my year 10s, we did it on the all-weather and then up the hills, and we did some fartlek training trying to replicate that as well. And the other positive of this again is it trains the aerobic and anaerobic systems are both trained. So again, we're kind of coming back into who does this benefit? Well, it benefits sports people who are using both aerobic and anaerobic energy systems, in terms of sometimes they're just jogging naturally and then sometimes they need a burst of pace, just like them footballers, boxers, basketball players, netball players, hockey players, etc. Okay, so we're doing this, and then under this we're going to have resistance training. It's going to be your next big title, and then the subtitles after that. Cool.